Well, our experts say reports released by the Department of Water and Sanitation demonstrate a complete deterioration of the quality controls of the country's drinking water. And the water safety adds to this climate change. Now, they are calling for communities to take action before it's too late. Dr. Farrial Adam, Executive Manager at Watercan, joins us now for that conversation. Dr. Farrial, thank you very much for coming on this afternoon. You know, when we talk about the water situation, of course, we talk about it in South Africa in particular as it relates to the blue, the green or the no drop. And those issues really are talking about the quality of water and the failure in infrastructure and the competence of those who are tasked with making sure that we get good quality water. But there's more to the water crisis than just the quality question, is it not?
Yes, indeed there is. I mean, I think you have to look at both the quantity and the quality and the fact that we live in a very water-scarce region. And if you take climate change on top of that, it's just going to make it all much worse. And so what we're seeing now is going to be times 10 or times 100 in terms of floods, droughts, and impacts that we are seeing right now.
And what is the conversation that was taking place at COP28 saying about that particular question, and does it go far enough, I suppose, to put in place a strong voice around dealing with the situation?
Sadly, no, it didn't. I think that, COP28, as you know, was held in the Arab Emirates. And if you just look at where it was held, where oil is predominantly the key kind of financial contributor to that country, the fact that the person who was chairing the meeting was the CEO of an oil company, it's no wonder, it's no surprise that then the discussions didn't exactly go far enough and they're not strong enough for us to actually deal with climate change and the impacts of climate change that a lot of developing countries are being very hard hit by.
We are talking also here about severe weather events, I mean, be it flooding, be it a drought. Is there a relationship between the frequency of these and, of course, the broader climate change situation that the globe is dealing with? And what is the climate change science telling us about the frequency and the intensity of these events?
So UNICEF did a report or an article that basically says that since 2001 to 2018, and that's, a lot of that period we've been talking about climate change and the impacts of climate change, but they basically were able to map that the hardest, the impacts are mostly being felt around water. So whether it's floods, droughts, in some parts of the country, what you're having is drying up of lakes and rivers because of intense heat. So instead of, for example, South Africa is a good example where we had El Nino, we went into La Nina, and without a break, we're now back into El Nino. What that means is that there's the potential for us to have a long cycle of drought followed by another long cycle of drought, and it's an intense drought. We saw that the Eastern Cape was very hard hit by the drought that we had, just a few years ago. And what this means is that it doesn't give you time to recover, and it doesn't give the land time to recover. It doesn't give our ecosystems time to recover, and then we're hit by another drought. So we're not able to manage with that, and added to that, you then add pollution. You add mismanagement of our water resources, as we've seen, and then we as a country are not able to withstand the impacts of climate change.
So what do you mean when we say we can no longer rely on government alone for solutions and actions to ensure that we have safe drinking water more than anything else?
I think we need to layer that a little bit, because I'm saying that in terms of even globally, we cannot wait for governments to meet at a COP28 or COP29. It's 28 years, since this climate meeting has started, to actually really put climate change on the agenda and to really put things in place that could tackle climate change. We cannot rely on that anymore. The climate change meetings are a waste of money and a waste of time. So we need to look at how do we as a country then deal with that and be able to adapt faster and look at what the impacts will be and how do we deal with those impacts. And then coming back locally is that if we have to look at water, which is, as UNICEF is saying, mostly hit by climate change, and if we look at the state of our water resources in South Africa, then we should be really worried. And if we look at what has been happening at local government level, I mean, they haven't been able to really do very well. We just need to look at the green drop, blue drop, no drop reports, which all points the fingers to very weak municipalities across the country. There isn't one that can say that they can withstand, say, another KZN bomb, rain bomb, for example.
Yeah.
So that is why I'm saying, as communities on the ground, we need to start developing what we need to see to safeguard our water resources. Whether it is just being more aware of leaks, it's cleaning rivers, whether it's being aware of those kind of things at a local government level, or commenting on government spending, on how they, we should not be having water tanks for like years and years and years. Why is that happening? We as people have the right to know how much is being spent on water tanks and to put a stop to that. That's the kind of thing I'm saying we have to do to be more aware of our water. But the bottom line as well, Thabo, is we as people, we have to also start respecting water and reducing how much water we waste and we use.
Yeah.
And that is going to be an important part as well.
I suppose that right there the minister would agree with you. Might not agree with you on the other one. Say, well, no need to cause panic right now. We don't have a crisis, right? We've got enough drinking water. What we do need to deal with, obviously, is what you're saying, the water that we waste. About 40%, even more maybe, water is being lost through what is called non-revenue water in the country, which is leaks, right? He says if we arrest that, we'll be okay. Plus, we've got a whole number of projects on the pipeline, dams that we are building, catchments that we are putting in place. So we'll be okay.
No, we won't. Because it's not just about having the quantity of the water. Firstly, we are a water scarce country. So just because we have water in the dams does not mean that we're okay. Because you must remember, it's not just people who are drinking the water that need the water. It's an ecosystem. Plants need clean water. Animals need clean water. Everything needs clean water to survive. And if we look at those statistics that you just mentioned, so for example, 67% of our wastewater treatment works are not operating well or operating at all. That means that there is raw sewage flowing into our rivers and streams. So you can have all the water in the world, but if it's highly polluted and you can't use it, there is no point. Yeah. The second issue on non-revenue water, yes, you're right. So that percentage of non-revenue water is not only leaks, it is also non-billable water that municipalities have not billed for, and water that is being stolen. So, but it's still a big chunk. Leaks are still a big chunk of that percentage. And yes, you're right. We can stop the leaks and we'll be in a better place. So we might not have water shedding like you're seeing in Johannesburg, because there'll be better control over our water. But with climate change, with high levels of pollution, we need to be aware that we don't have a lot of water. Our rainfall is half the global average. We get about 460 millimeters a year. The global average is about 800 and something millimeters. So globally, we are a dry region. It's not that we have a lot of water. We have now. But we cannot look at a crisis by only looking at the quantity of water we have. We have to look at the whole system. We need to look at the fact leaks. We need to look at the fact that the system is failing. People don't have water for days and days in their taps. Only 46% of South Africans actually have taps in their homes. And now, even of those who have taps in their homes, less have constant running water. And then you have, you're going to have drought. You're going to have agriculture that's using a lot of water. So it's a crisis. And if we look at it as a crisis, is when everyone will start acting with the urgency we need. So it's not just about the quantity. It's the whole system.
somebody will be listening and saying, what is Dr. Farrial asking us to do? Are you asking us to do the work of the municipalities now?
Well, I think it shouldn't be about whether it's the work of the municipalities or not, and to some it may exactly look like that. But we are in such a state in terms of our water that we cannot afford to ask that question anymore. We have to say, yes, it is doing the work of the municipality, but do we want to actually have a future? Do we want to be able to have a sustainable, healthy future? Water is used in every aspect of our lives: education, health, economics. So you cannot not have clean, sustainable water. So if we're going to just sit back and say the municipalities must deal with it, well, then we are going to be in big trouble. I was going to say bad words like big mess, sewage. We're going to be in sewage.
Dr. Farrial, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. Dr. Farrial Adams there looking at, of course, our water situation.